Welcome to this week's angling vlog.
This week you join myself and Joshua on the banks of the river and we're in search of pike. Today we are joined on the bank by Gary Williams and Mitzi, so we're going to have a bit of a social on the bank. For me and Josh, we're going to put out the pike rods and hopefully we can get Mr. Pike on the bank. We were on the bank at first light, you can see the mist just rising off the river and what a beautiful morning it was to be on the bank. We wasted no time at all in getting the rods out, but what we'll do now is we'll take a look at the rods and the setup and how we've approached it. So the rod that I'm using today is my Cordum Snapper deadbait rod. It's 3.25 pound test curve and yeah, nice rod for doing the piking. I've got one of the Zelos reels and on there I've got 65 pound braid, nice and strong, and obviously it's going to bend those hooks out if you get stuck on any snags that are in the rivers, lakes and canals that I do fish. So down to the terminal tackle, that is the main line I was just talking about. We've got a low resistance run ring and that's part of the bolt and run kit from Cordum. We've got a big heavy lead from Dinsmore's, so it's going to stay on the bottom when the pike moves off. You don't want the lead to move, you just want the line to move through it, so it gets no resistance at all. It's straight to your rod. We've got two beads and then we've got a quick change clip and then it's down to the wire trace. On this rod, we're going with a whole herring, straight down the middle. So on the channel, you have heard me talk about Pike Pro and oils, and there is a bit of colour in the water today, not loads. There's a bit of clarity in the margins, but I am going to put a bit of the oil on the bait today. And over the years, I've done different ways of doing this, injecting, but for me, just nice and quick and nice and easy. Just put some over the top, rub it in like that, and that is the bait ready to go. Rowers have just been through, so you have got to be considerate of them when you are thinking about your setup. I love float fishing and I love seeing the float go, but it's just not possible on here. So we're on two ledges today. The left hand rod is on a whole herring and that is in line with that post there, just at the bottom of the shelf on the far bank. And the left hand rod we've got just over there into this area here, and we've got that on the roach. And again, you can just see there how close in the lines are, and that is purely just to try and avoid the rowers picking it up. The depth here, you're straight into 13 foot off the bank. As you can see, it does jut out a bit. You've got a public footpath behind you, so there's plenty of people walking past, you probably hear. But yeah, that's the rods out, and hopefully we can get Mr. Pike. It'd be great just to get a pike for Joshua, just to show him what they look like, because he's been dealing with roach and skimmers just lately. So it'll be interesting to see how he deals with something with teeth. So we are joined on the bank today by Gary, but we've also got Mitzi. She's been in a bit of the wars recently, had an operation, but she's out again with us on the bank. And what's your job, Josh? Your job to look after her?
Yeah.
So yeah, lovely dog and a pleasure to be around. And part and parcel of our trips when we go to the River Ribble, she's always with us. And Joshua today, looking after her, aren't you?
Yeah.
In testament to the dog, she's never met Joshua before, and already, what are you? You're part of the pack, aren't you?
Yeah.
Best friends. So yeah, while we're waiting for the run, you can see the boats going behind. Gary's on the whip, getting plenty of bites, and we're just waiting for those pike rods to go out, me matey.
Yeah.
So while we're waiting for the bite, we've had Mr. Robin come about. So what we're going to do, Josh, we're going to set a trap.
Yeah.
So we're just going to drop a couple of maggots here, we're going to set the GoPro up, and we're going to see what we get. So while we're waiting for the bite, just put him a smelt on a wobbling rod. He's just having a bit of a play in the margin. He'll have the shock of his life if Mr. Pike comes up and takes it though, most definitely. But getting him used to casting and reeling in, it's a great little way to do it. So one beep on the alarm and the rod's pulled away and just struck into it. It's a nice little pike. We got the first one of the day. It's taken about 3 hours to come. What we're going to do is we're going to work it round into the shallows and We see we can get it in and we can show Joshy his first dinosaur fishy. Let's get it in and take a look. So we got Joshy on netting duty. The river's nice and shallow there, so he'll be okay. Get it in, Josh, lift the net. There, well done, matey. So there's Mr. Pike in the net. We'll give him a good rest and then we're going to unhook him and we'll get Joshy to see his first dinosaur fish. And I think he's in for a bit of a surprise when he sees the teeth. But let's get it unhooked. You can just see the beautiful markings there and how they camouflage with the bottom. Look at them teeth.
Wow.
And that's where all the fish go when he has his dinner. You can see there a lovely pike, lovely condition. We're going to get him in the edge, give him another rest, and then we'll get him out and we'll get a picture with him with Joshy. Well, there you go, mate. Look at them teeth.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Super cool.
And it was well worth getting up this morning in the dark, sitting here. It's warmed up a bit, but what a beautiful setting we've had. Let's get the rod back out and see if we can get another. You made up? Yeah. Let's get back out there. So the pike's had a good rest and this little bit of shallow, a good place to let him go. Back he
Bye,
goes.
Mr. Pike.
Made up?
Yeah.
The good things about bringing your little lad with you when you're piking is you've got an assistant. You've not got to do it all on your own, have I? How dare I?
How dare you?
So we're going to have a look at the baits we've brought today. So my assistant is going to point to each one as we go through them. Here we've got some sardines, a nice smelly bait if we want to put a bit of smell in the water later on in the day. The next one we've got a herring, so whole herring, and that's the one we had the bite off. So definitely works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And what's that one, Josh? Is it a roach?
Roach.
So we've got some big roach. They are a bait that I like when it's clear, but a bait I've got confidence in on here. Definitely does work. We've got the trusty smelt. Wouldn't go anywhere without a smelt. And if we want to try and get a pike towards the end of the day, it'll be a smelt that I'll probably put on. And something a bit different I picked up in the bait shop is a bluey. So yeah, we've got a good selection of baits to look at. The blue skies from a chilly morning, but they have given it -3 overnight, so it's how it's going to change. And that is the changing seasons as we move now, February to March. But just a beautiful day to be on the bank. And we've got our pike. So we're into the last bit of the session now, and Joshy's just having another go on the pole. So he's doing really well. Me and Gary are just trying to teach him to let the float go through with the pace of the river. And he's had 1 or 2 fish. And there he is into another one. He'll be on the ribble before we know it, the way he's bagging up.
Well done, well done.
Well done, matey. There we go. Another one for the Joshy machine. So just changing the roach rod over for the last little bit and going over to a smelt. You can see there the same setup as the other rod, just a simple running ledger. And for the last bit, I'm just going to try my ultimate confidence bait, which is a smelt. So those who really do follow the channel, there's only one thing missing from it, and that is Mr. Swan. Well, in this episode, we've got Mr. Swan, and we've got a lot of swans who are just about to be seen off. By one big swan who has just seen a whole lot of them off. Every single one of them. So we've just got another take on the sardine. Line's just pulling off the reel, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to strike it because we've had one, and then pass the rod to Joshy for him to play it, and if it comes off, it comes off. We'll just give it a little bit of time to run, and then we'll try and set the hooks. Best way to learn is to go off the deep end. He's just playing the fish. It looks like it's wrapped around it a little bit. Only a small pike. Be a nice one for him to learn with. And he's had some luck there. The trace was wrapped around the pike, so anyone that does any piking knows how lucky he's been. But I struck the rod for him, but passed it him to play, and it's all about learning at this stage. You having fun?
Yeah.
And what about that? Is that a Mosasaurus?
Yeah.
Session does come to an end there now, and it has been an enjoyable day on the bank. Joshua's first proper session on the river, managed to catch his first pike, and in total we managed to get 2. So it has been a really enjoyable day on the bank. We've been sat with Gary on the pole, and Joshua's been unhooking his fish and having a go himself, and I can't imagine it's too long before he'll be on the banks of the River Ribble catching those days. I really do hope you have enjoyed this vlog. I want to wish you all tight lines in your own fishing, and me and Joshua will catch us all next week. Tight lines.